Hello and welcome to our podcast with Erin Newberry, who is with Not Just Travel and who is a bespoke travel consultant. How
Good
are you
morning,
doing,
Mark.
Erin? You all good?
Yeah, all good. Excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming.
Yeah.
So I want to get a little bit about your business story, how you've got to this point.
Okay, so I have just celebrated my 7th year in business. So a lot has happened over those 7 years, as I'm sure if you cast your mind back and know what's happened. Um, so basically, I was a stay-at-home mum, and my youngest was going back to school, so I needed to find a job. And when I was looking around, I couldn't find anything that would fit with 3 children in 3 different schools, that wouldn't take up all of my wages in childcare. So I've always had a love for travel. I did a tourism degree, and I really wanted to get back into the field of work. So I had a look round and I found that you could be a travel agent from your own home. And there were lots of different companies doing that. And I did all of the research and I met Paul and Steve from Not Just Travel, and had a few chats with them, a few meetings with them. And I decided that, yeah, this is what I want to do. And the rest is history, really.
Do you know what I like about that? And I think there's a lot of people set up businesses because necessity. But I think especially because you're very family orientated from what you've just said and trying to find something that fit around the children to still be there from as they've grown up. And a lot of people do genuinely, not do anything at all until the kids go to secondary school and they're a bit
Yeah.
more, a bit more released. So yeah, hats off to you for doing what you're doing and obviously mentioning that little downturn that all of the world had back in 2020 and or
Oh, we
2019.
don't like to talk about that in the
No,
travel
no, no, but we'll just
industry.
give a nod to it. It changed the world, isn't it? And I'm sure
It
we'll
definitely
hear,
did.
yeah, I'm sure we'll hear about some of the obstacles you had to overcome during that time.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, and your tourism degree, what's your background prior to setting up the company?
So when I was 17, I went on holiday and it was for my cousin's wedding and it was in the Dominican Republic. Prior to that, I'd not done much traveling. I'd been to Spain once and I'd been to Canada once. And then when I was 17, we went to the Dominican Republic for my cousin's wedding. I absolutely loved being abroad. It was great. I loved learning about the new culture and the people. And I chatted to the holiday rep that was in resort with us. And I thought, you know what? I really, really want to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to be a holiday rep. I want to spend my life in the sun, helping people on holiday to have the best holiday. But when I was looking at this, you had to be 21 in order to be a holiday rep. So when I left school at 18, so bearing in mind, I was already halfway through my A levels at this point, and I had an idea. But then when I got back to school, it was time to start applying for uni. And I was like, no, I'll go and do a tourism degree, um, and until I'm 21, and then I can go and do the repping. So I actually did what's called a tourism management degree, and there's different types of tourism degrees. There are the tourism degrees that help you to train to be a travel agent, and then mine was more about sort of the behind the scenes of tourism. So we looked at the impacts that tourism had on third world countries and positive schemes to help to counteract that. So it was much more of a business management degree. We did economics and marketing and all fun stuff like that. Um, and then I did that. And then when I left, I kind of didn't know what I was going to do. As part of my degree, we had to do some time working. I spent some time working at Butlins in Skegness. So as part of my degree, so when I left my degree, I went back to Butlins and I kind of stayed there. And as life does, I met my husband. So that kind of put paid to going abroad. But I still did it. I did one season as a holiday rep and I really loved it. But I had my boyfriend waiting back home for me, and that kind of stopped me from continuing it on as life does. And then I decided to become a teacher. So I went back and I trained to do primary school teaching, and I taught until my youngest son was born, which was back in 2012. And then from 2012 sorry, he was born in 2012.
I don't
Yes, he was.
know. So,
Sorry.
that's right. So
So yeah,
when was your son born?
I talked about when my son was born.
Yeah. So
So
2012.
so I taught until my youngest son was born, which was back in 2012. And then from then 2012 till 2018, I was a stay-at-home mum. And then he went back to school in 2000. He started primary school in the September of 2017, and I began my business in the February of 2018 because I wasn't suited to being a stay-at-home mum, and I really wanted to get back into working. And this was the way that I saw I could do that.
Wow. So even before what you're doing now, there was quite a varied career there. So
Yeah,
yeah, so being a travel rep for a season, which is really, really good. Working for Butlins as well. And like most of us at a young age, there's always a partner that comes onto the scene, isn't it? And but yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It wasn't that he didn't want me to do it, but obviously my priorities changed. I didn't want to
yeah,
go off gallivanting. I
yeah,
wanted to stay with him. So I won't say that he made me stay,
yes.
but my priorities changed.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm saying that's what life's about, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes when you're on a journey, but you still, what I like about your story is you were a teacher in the middle, so
Yes.
imparting knowledge on those youngsters, but you've still ended up back with your passion. And that's the
Yes.
amazing thing, you know. So after everything that's happened, you've still gone back and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It is a passion.
yeah,
I absolutely love traveling. I love learning about the world, cultures, people.
yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's brilliant. So what's your mission for for you and not just travel?
So my mission, which sounds all official, doesn't it? But basically, what I want is I want to help people have the best holiday that they can have. So it's all about, for me, it's all about making memories with the people that you love and with the people that you meet as well. Um, and it's all well and good of going, oh, I'm going to go on this holiday, I'm going to go on that holiday. But it's about what you do while you're on holiday that makes it perfect for you. And everybody has a different idea about what makes the perfect holiday. So it's really about making sure that you have the best holiday. You don't want to go on holiday and come home going, oh, that was a bit. You want to come home going, that was amazing, and it's my mission is to make sure that everybody comes back with the amazing and not so much of that, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
And what a great mission to have. As I say, most people work really, really hard all year for 2 weeks away, don't they? And yeah, to actually have that mission to make them come back and have them smiley faced and
You
wanting to book again is a really nice mission.
Yeah, you don't get a do-over. Your boss isn't going to say, oh, you didn't enjoy your holiday. Well, it's all right. You can go again next week. And magically, the money appears for you to be able to go away. Holidays are expensive. So, you have to make sure you get exactly what you want. And that's where my knowledge and expertise comes in helping people get exactly what it is that they're looking for.
Brilliant. Well, following on from your mission, what's your vision in terms of not just travel?
Well, not just travel actually are brilliant within themselves. They have just received numerous awards just this year. So as a franchise, they have won the luxury franchise of the year globally. And actually, TTG, which is the trade magazine, they've just crowned us luxury homeworking travel agent of the year as well. So the awards are coming in, and the acknowledgement is coming in that actually Not Just Travel are a brilliant company to work with, not just with our clients, but also the suppliers that we work with. They like working with us as well. And so I just want to just continue working with Not Just Travel to build my business, but also just to reach out and help as many people as possible. The vision is to allow people to explore more of the world, but with peace of mind, because sometimes if you go it alone and something goes wrong, you don't know where to turn, and it can be really frightening. Whereas if you've got somebody like myself there, we can help you at every, so if something goes wrong, it's horrible when things go wrong, and things do go wrong. But having somebody there to help you, to guide you, and just to take a little bit of that panic away, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what I like about that is obviously the actual company itself have got lots of accolades, which is really, really good.
Yeah.
Which is obviously all down to all you guys who are being the consultants. But I think, as you say, that the world is a very large place. And I don't know about you, but especially when I was younger, living with my parents, it was always a European holiday that we went to.
Yes.
You know, parents worked very hard to take us, away 2 weeks of the year. But it's not until obviously I left home and started to have a bit more income, disposable income, that I realised that the world is actually an enormous place, and it's not just, Europe is lovely, love the hot weather, love getting a bit of a suntan. I love the UK as well, don't get me wrong, but we just don't have the weather consistently. Whereas the world is such a big place. And I say, I've been lucky enough to do a lot of traveling with myself and my family. So I know the benefits of going out there, and especially the children, the opportunities that we can give the children, even if it is in Europe, but they can go and they can, have a chat with the locals, they can see different cultures, and it's just that whole experience, isn't it? It's just so important that, and as you say, there's no do-over, and that's in life as well, isn't it? We get one life, so much to explore, and you're there to help piece it all together for people.
Definitely. And you're right about it is a massive place, but it's also a really small place as well. And we are all connected. And I think the best way really to sort of see how we're all connected is to go out and visit these places that perhaps you've only ever heard of on the TV. And, I mean, I've been lucky. I'm not incredibly well traveled, but I am fairly well traveled. And my children have traveled with me, but they went to Tunisia. And while we were in Tunisia, we went to the local Medina, so the kids got to experience that. And within Europe, there are plenty of different cultures, but there's also sort of a very European vibe, is we're all quite similar, even though the Spanish and the French and the German are different. In terms of outlook on the world, I think it's still quite a similar outlook on the world. And I think as Europeans, we're very open to exploring. But when you go to different continents, then you experience very different views of the world and very different ways of seeing things. And it's a real eye opener. And actually, it makes you feel connected. I've been lucky enough, I've been to the Gambia. And the Gambia is actually a Muslim country, but it's also a West African country. And the two mixing together is different. That it's very different from any other Muslim country that you would have seen. If you think of a Muslim country, oftentimes you're thinking of Dubai or places like that. And if you think of a West African country, you might think of Nigeria. And so if you try and mix the two of those, it's really strange, but it works. And it was really nice to be there and see those differences, and to have maybe some preconceptions challenged. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's important, is that we all have preconceptions, but by visiting these other worlds, then we can address that and really see that actually it doesn't matter where in the world you are, we're not all that different. And at the end of it, we're all people. And generally people want to get to know people, and being able to see people from different backgrounds. I just think it's amazing to go out and experience different cultures, different foods, different just everything. I love it, and I want to extend that to everybody. And there are ways of doing it that actually people don't realize you can do it on smaller budgets. But ask. It's never, you can ask, the answer can only ever be no, can't it? That's the worst thing that can happen.
No, definitely. So with that in mind, then, in terms of varying different places, what type of, I know you've mentioned in terms of, when people are aware if something goes wrong, obviously you're there to support. But what other type of customer problems do you solve? Is there, from obviously the booking stage, through to them being on holiday and then returning home?
Okay, so there's loads of different reasons why people might come to me. One is because they just don't know what they want. They're just like, help. So I had somebody recently who hadn't been abroad since pre-COVID, and she's just like, I don't know where to start. So asked a few questions, and basically at the heart of it, she wanted to go somewhere sunny and warm. And that was basically what she wanted, somewhere sunny and warm and safe, where she felt like she could just relax. So obviously for her, a European destination was going to be the best option. And we actually, this is really recent, so this will just show you exactly what goes on. We'd chosen Cape Verde because that was kind of the warmest place that's not too far away, in a beautiful hotel with the beach right there. And that's all she wanted. She didn't want to do much sightseeing. She just really wanted a week away to relax in the sun. 6 days before she was due to leave, there was a massive water outage in Cape Verde, and the hotel she was staying with had absolutely no water, and it would be at least 10 days before they could fix it. So her holiday had to be cancelled. So she's in tears because she's looked forward to this and she's desperate to go, and the kids are all ready to go. And within 90 minutes of me receiving the phone call from the supplier to tell me that that holiday was being cancelled, I had her rebooked somewhere else. And the only difference is that they were going a day later. So there was just a minor inconvenience that they'd be going a day later. So she had to find kennels for the extra day. Within 90 minutes, we had it sorted. They were on their way, and everything was good. And I know that she was really upset. Obviously, she was in tears. And they had a fantastic time. They're home now. They had a fantastic time. So that's sort of that the customer problem was she didn't know where she wanted, but actually something happened with the booking afterwards. Now, had she received that phone call and she had to then go out and find her own holiday, I don't think in that moment she'd have been able to do it so quickly, because I think she needed time to process what was happening. And then the next day she might have started to look to replace it. I actually managed to get the last remaining room in the resort that she was going to, because we acted so quickly. So we were able to get that. Had we waited till the next day, it probably wouldn't have been there, because all the other people that were due to go to that hotel would have been looking at this, because it's 6 days out. There's not a lot of options left. So I was able to help her. But other reasons why people may come to me in the first place are they have a complex itinerary. They might be visiting different places, whether that's different places within one country. So maybe they want to do some island hopping, or maybe they want to visit different countries. One that I had last year was a Canadian trip where we're going to Vancouver, we're going on a cruise to Alaska, and we're also doing the Rocky Mountaineer, which is a train which takes you from Vancouver up into the Rocky Mountains. So I've put all of that together for them, rather than them having to look for it and book it individually. The benefit of that is it all comes under one package, which gives financial protection and peace of mind as well, because obviously I'm there at the end of the phone in case they want to talk to me. Or there could be lots of reasons why people come to me. So I had one family come to me, they'd never been abroad before, and it was a single mum with 4 kids. And she really didn't know. She really wanted to take them away, but she really didn't know what to do. So I actually sent them to a hotel that I'd visited with my children, because I was able then to talk them through everything. I could explain about everything that was going to happen. I could talk about the hotel, the place they were staying in, give them lots of hints and tips and advice, just to make it a little bit easier for her. So she had a bit of background and first-hand knowledge before she went, so that she didn't feel quite so nervous and anxious about going. So there's lots of reasons why people might use me. But then in the first place, but then there's the help and advice that I can give while they're away, just in case something goes wrong. Because I mean, who knew there'd be a water outage in Cape Verde? It's but there was. So we got it sorted.
I think that's the thing that resonates with me, is the fact you're there every step of the way. So you're there before the booking, during the booking, after the booking. And I think maybe when you do a large company, we know they're out there where you can literally just book online and you're looked after, to be fair. You've obviously only got the choices of locations that they've got. You all get crammed on a bus at the airport and shipped out to the resort. Whereas what you're offering is a real personal experience, and that thing where you made the lady and her four children, you used the experience that you had to send them to the same place that you've been. But I bet the feeling that she had because she knew you'd been there, and everything else, I bet was just, and that's the service that you can't get from just clicking book online.
No, and I think it does give you that peace of mind as well. But the other thing as well is there are some brilliant companies out there that offer amazing service that are bigger companies. But you know yourself, if you can book online and still go to their customer service. But if you do call up or you have to speak to somebody, you're going through to a call center and they have to read whatever notes are already on your thing. And then they'll go, okay, so this is where we're at. And then, whereas with me, I know everything about my clients. I'm up to date with what's going on. So I don't have to read the notes. Sometimes I can't remember my children's name, but I know everything about my client's holiday. It's all in here. So as soon as I know who I'm talking to, I know exactly what's going on, where we're at, what the issues might be, and where we need to go with that.
Brilliant. What a service. So if I progress the conversation, so what do you enjoy most about what you do? I know we have covered a few bits, but I'd be interested to see what makes you tick in terms of what you enjoy.
So there's the obvious. I love having happy clients. I love seeing people happy. I love seeing dreams come true. I love some people have like a dream holiday, something that was on their bucket list that they've really wanted to do, that they've thought about a long time, and they finally get. First of all, they see the itinerary rather than it just being in the head. It's all printed out for them. They can actually visualize what they're going to do. They love that. That makes me happy. Them actually experiencing it and seeing their photographs and their faces and listening to their stories when they go. I absolutely love all of that as well. So there's that whole customer side of things that I really enjoy. But then there's also the actual research bit that I love doing as well. I love learning about a new country. I love it when somebody comes to me and they go, I want to do this. And I'm like, oh my God. And I learn so much. So I've just recently learned about ryokans in Japan. I didn't know what they were before, but now I do.
Can you educate us all?
So a ryokan is a traditional guest house or inn in Japan, where they still have the paper walls and the futons on the floor. And lots of them are actually near special springs. And so you have like a whole well-being experience as well while you're there. But generally you go and you experience sort of life as a traditional Japanese person. So you will arrive for your evening meal and you will go and have a traditional Japanese evening meal, and you will sleep in these traditional buildings with the paper walls and the futons, and then a traditional breakfast the next day. And I didn't know about this because obviously usually when I'm looking in Japan, I'm just looking at hotels. So when somebody came to me and said that they wanted to stay in one of these, I was like, oh, okay. And then I learned all about ryokan and I love it. And I love that side of it. I love learning about the new cultures and new things that I didn't know existed out there. And yeah, I really like that. The flip side of that is then I'm really sad that I don't get to go on the adventure with my client.
But I bet you get some amazing feedback when people return.
Sometimes I was recently, one of my clients hailed me as his savior, which I thought was really nice.
That's nice. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like any other walk of life, if you do a good service for somebody, and it's as they expected, which is obviously all your knowledge that you bring to the table. I think that's amazing. Well done. What's your most favourite inquiry that you've had for a holiday?
So my favourite one that I've had so far was for a friend, and this was a lifelong dream. And she won't mind me mentioning it. But she wanted to do a Lord of the Rings tour around New Zealand. Now, I am a massive Hobbit and Lord of the Rings fan anyway, so this was right up my alley. And I absolutely adored putting this together for her. So there are two ways I could do this. I could take it to my supplier and say to my supplier, this is what they want to do, and let my supplier put it together. But I don't like doing that. I prefer to do the research myself and then take more of a rounded approach and go to my supplier and go, this is what we want to do. Can you sort of fine tune it for me? Because my supplier is the expert on the destination. So I got to learn all about the different activities that are Lord of the Rings based that you can do throughout New Zealand, and there's loads of them. So this is where I'm going to go a little bit geekish. But if you like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, there's a bit in The Hobbit where the dwarves escape from the elves and they go in barrels and they drop into a river and they go down to Lake Town. You can actually, what's the word, kayak down that section of the river where they did the barrel run. And they will point out various places that, oh, that's where the orc was shot, or that's where this happened, and that's where this happened. And on all of these trips, they give you photographs of the scene, and then you can photograph yourself standing in that position with the photograph of holding a photograph of the scene. So you really get to feel like you're experiencing it. And I love that. And then another one is Hobbiton still exists. And you can go and visit the Shire, and you can actually have an evening banquet in Hobbiton. And that was amazing because there were lots of different ones, but as soon as I saw you could have an evening banquet, I was like, well, that's the one she's going to want to do. And I think that was one of her highlights as well. So that one I really truly enjoyed because it was a bit of my own geekiness coming out and a bit of my own passion coming out. But I love them all. Every single one that I get, I love, because I get to learn a little bit more about a different place. So I love them all. One never comes in that I go, oh, never. Even if it's just a straightforward 1 week, what I call a fly and flop, where you go into one hotel, you're staying there for a week and then coming home. I still like doing that because you still have to find the right hotel for your clients, because different people are going to like different things. They're going to want different things from their hotel. So you can't just go, oh, everybody that I'm sending to Tenerife is going to this particular hotel, because that hotel isn't going to work for everybody. So I still enjoy every single one that comes through. But yeah, the geek in me kind of for the Lord of the Rings one. I love that
one. So how do people get to work with you?
Okay, so it's really easy. You just contact me. That's all you have to do. And there's loads of ways of contacting me. You can give me a phone call. You can WhatsApp me a message. You can message me on Facebook. You can send me an email. However you can contact me, that is absolutely fine. I don't only have one channel. There's lots of different ways of contacting me. And all you need to do is contact me and say, I'd love to go on holiday. Can you help me? And that's it. And then I'll go, yep. And then what we do is we arrange a time to chat. And we can chat on a Zoom call. We can chat on a phone call. We can chat face to face. I don't mind. I have clients who only like to deal with me face to face. I have one client who is hard of hearing, and so we have to meet face to face because she can't communicate over the phone or on a Zoom. So I have to meet face to face with her, and that's absolutely fine. I had a lovely couple who were going on honeymoon. They didn't have a clue. They both had wildly different ideas about what they wanted from the honeymoon. So getting together around a table and a coffee actually was the best way of thrashing it out, and really getting down to the nitty-gritty of what they wanted. I have some people who don't really like talking on the phone, and so we do a lot of messaging. And if we've got a lot of people going on holiday, so I do group bookings as well, sometimes I find it helps to have a big WhatsApp group with everybody in there, so that if somebody's got a question, they can ask me. So rather than going through the person who first initially contacted me and then that person getting in touch with me and then me getting it, they can just ask me the questions in the WhatsApp group. And then the information goes out to everybody then. So yeah, there's lots of different ways that I work, and I work the way that's best for my client. It's not what's best for me, it's what's best for my client, because most of the time the people I'm working with, they're busy, they've got their own lives. They haven't got an hour in the afternoon to sit and do this. And that's the other thing as well, is I work around people's schedules. So if you work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you find that you can't get into town, so on a Saturday, you've got one of your daughters going to dance. I'm going to be really gender stereotypically. Your daughter's going to dance classes on the Saturdays and your son's playing football on the Sunday. I know it could be the other way around. But you can't get into town over a weekend, then the high street shops are shut. So a lot of people then think that their only option is to go online and book online, but that's not true, because you can contact me in the evening, at weekends, and generally, if I'm awake and I can, I will respond. And if I can't, I'll respond as soon as I can. Even if it's just a response to say, I'm not actually in the office today, but I'll call you tomorrow. I have had somebody call me while I've been waiting in line for a ride at Alton Towers. And I've just said, hi, yeah, I can't really do much at the moment. I can't hear you, but I'm back in the office tomorrow. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Let me know when works for you. So I will always try. I've booked a holiday whilst I've been in Mauritius.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I will work if I can. If I can work, I'll work. And you can contact me however you like. And the internet now is amazing. So, I was able to talk to the person via WhatsApp in Mauritius, and get that holiday booked for them. So yeah, it's work with me however works for you is great by me.
Oh, that's lovely. And what I love about that is I think like anybody who runs their own business knows that you need to always be available. And you say, whenever's convenient to them, you'll make sure it falls in line and be able to help them
Yeah.
out, which I think is obviously in this day and age where literally everything's electronic and call centers switch off at 6 o'clock at night. If you're still on the phone in the queue, that's it. You just get cut off. Having that ability to actually speak to you whenever across a whole different array of mediums is really, really important. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
In this day and age, I think having human contact is something that we're lacking a lot of in this day and
Yeah.
age. Like you say, a lot of it is done via the internet. So, I am the human contact, and I will be there as and when I can, as much as I can around what you need me to do.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, that kind of leads me nicely into my next question: is why people should choose you to book their holiday.
Well, first of all, I think everybody should be using a travel agent. In the UK, we have some of the strictest laws regarding holidays, and consumers have so much protection on their side should anything go wrong, because it is a lot of money that you're spending. You may think it's cheaper to book it yourself separately online, and that's absolutely fine. You can do that, and that's nobody's going to say you can't do that, because obviously you can. But again, one, I offer the human element. You can, if you're booking online, you're looking at a series of pictures and words that other people have written. It's other people's opinions. And you have to make a choice about whether that's going to be the right holiday for you. When you're spending a lot of money, that's a big choice. If you're spending £5,000 on a holiday, that could be the price of a secondhand car. Would you buy a car based on a picture on a screen, or would you want to go and inspect that car and speak to somebody who knows about that car? And that car's going to last you for a few years. That's not just going to be a week's purchase. You think about it, that £5,000 is a week's purchase, and then it's gone. You're only left with the memories. If you only, so why would you just look at a picture on a screen and go, yeah, that's fine, I'll spend £5,000 on that. That'll be perfect for me. Why wouldn't you want to ask somebody who knows to say, is this actually what I'm looking for? The amount of people that call me up and say, this is what I want, I found this. And I'm like, you're not going to get that from that. We need to, adjust slightly, because what you've given me isn't what you want. And I think most people's expectations aren't met because they have an idea of what they want, but it's not necessarily what's coming off the screen. So being able to speak to somebody about that and go, okay, so this is what this is going to offer you. Is that what you want? And then for them to go, oh, no, actually, no, it's not. Okay, well, let's look at an alternative. But you can't always get that from a screen. Then there is the protection that you get. So when you book a package, that is your flights and your hotel together under one contract, you have so much protection in place, financial protection, and also peace of mind. Sometimes when you buy online, they offer you, it might be atoll protected, they might class it as a package, but actually it's coming on two contracts. It's coming under the airline contract, and then it's coming under the hotel contract. So that actually, they're not married together. So they do offer you some protection, but it's limited protection. Okay. So with a package, if something goes wrong, then if say your flight is delayed, then it's up to the provider to make sure you get on another flight and that your accommodation will still be waiting for you. If your flight gets cancelled and they can't find you another flight, you'll be refunded everything, including your hotel. If you don't book it as a package and your flight gets cancelled, you might still be liable to pay for your hotel even if you can't get there, because it's not under the same package. I had clients who were in Greece last year, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was a fire at Gatwick. I think it was the landing gear of a plane came down and damaged the runway. And so they had to retarmac it, they had to cancel flights. My clients were in Greece, they were in the airport and were told, actually, we can't get you home. They couldn't get them on a flight for 3 nights. So they're now stuck. So either if they booked that themselves, either they have to then find a different airline that can fly them home, but there's going to be loads of other people trying to find a different airline to fly them home, or they have to find themselves accommodation until they can get a flight home. Because they've booked a package, they were put up in a hotel for those 3 nights until they were able to fly home. So their concern was, I'm going to have to let work know that I'm not going to be in when I'm supposed to be in. That was their biggest concern. Everything else was taken care of for of them. They were taken from the airport to the hotel. They were left there for 3 nights. Then they were picked up from the hotel and taken back to the airport and flown home. So that's the biggest sort of reason for booking a package rather than doing it yourself individually. But also, everything I sell is a package. And I'm not just talking about a Jet2 or a TUI or an EasyJet. Everything I book. So that one where she went to Lord of the Rings and I put it all together myself, that was still classed as a package. So should one element go wrong, myself and the supplier would be there to fix it, as you know, in the time. So she didn't have to panic about fixing it herself. So it doesn't matter where in the world you're going or what type of holiday you're having, everything I provide is covered as a package. So that's financial protection, but also peace of mind. So that you don't need to worry. You call me, then you go and sit, have a cocktail, and I'll get it sorted and I'll let you know what the outcome is. You don't have to worry and start making phone calls. So that's that. What I would say is if you don't book with myself or another travel agent and you are booking online and you think that it's a package, please just double check the terms and conditions and see if it's going to come on 1 contract or 2 contracts, because that will tell you then whether you have a full package or not. And that's really important because a lot of people don't realize that they're not fully protected and they end up, it's good when it's good, but when it goes wrong, it can go terribly wrong. And if you don't have that protection in place, you have to try and sort it out yourself. And it's very, very stressful. And you're in a foreign country and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'd never thought of it like that, Erin. So you've definitely educated me, and we have had to do that twice. So when I've done something myself, and we went to an airport to drop off a car, which was in a different terminal to where the flight was flying out from, and obviously by the time we dropped the car off and made our way to the other terminal, we actually missed the flight, or that the flight had closed. And again, whereas if I'd have booked with someone like yourself or another travel agent, I literally said, this is what's happened. Can you sort it out for me? As it was, we were literally outside. Luckily, it was a sunny location. We were outside on the telephones trying to find out, new flights for the next day, overnight accommodation for me and the wife and 4 children that we have. Yeah, and it was quite a stressful couple of hours that we had. Whereas obviously the benefit of would have been engaging with you was you'd have taken that stress away from us.
Well, we would have advised you. So what would have happened in that situation is we would have made sure that you were either taking the car back to the correct terminal, or we would have given you enough time to drop the car off and get over to that terminal, because that's what happens. If we've given you a time to drop the car off and a time to be in a different terminal and we haven't given you enough time to get across, then that's our fault.
Yeah.
But we would normally make sure that all of that is in. And it's like with connection times as well between flights. We'll always make sure that the connection we give you is a workable connection, and that you're going to have time to get from there to there to catch that connection. And that's the other thing as well that I wanted to mention about flights. I had people coming back from Hawaii to Heathrow via LA. Now, the flight leaving Hawaii was late, which meant they missed their connection in LA. Because we had what's called a through ticket, so we were booked from Hawaii to London Heathrow, might have been more expensive than booking separately. So some people will have done the Hawaii to LA and then they'll have done the LA to Heathrow. Might be a little bit cheaper, but by putting it on one ticket, what it meant was when they missed their connection in LA, the next flight wasn't until the next day. So they were taken to a hotel and put up in a hotel and gotten onto the flight the next day. And that was obviously all done complimentary. And they didn't have to try and find a hotel and they didn't have to speak to anybody about it. It was done automatically because they had this through ticket, which protected them against that sort of thing from happening.
Funny, it's like my traveling stories, whereas on another holiday, we didn't miss the flight. We had a through ticket that we purchased ourselves, and we never appeared for the first part of the flight in Tokyo because Tokyo wasn't letting people in just after COVID. So we met the plane in Thailand, and then when we went to check in, because we'd never been on the first part of the flight, they'd resold the seats.
Yeah.
Luckily, the wife and the 4 children managed to go on the first flight back, and I spent another 12 hours sat in the airport, about £1,200 lighter, because that's what we could do. They managed to get very nice and get all the kids and the wife back on. They weren't in the same row. They were literally dotted about wherever there was space on that plane. I had 12 hours watching the last few episodes of Stranger Things, so I put my time to good use. And again, I did that myself, and as I say, having that little snippet of knowledge that you've just given me, then if I'd have done it like you've just suggested, then I wouldn't have had the pain that I had.
Yeah, and it's just having somebody else to call on in that situation.
Yeah.
And somebody else to go, okay, don't worry about it. Go and have a coffee. I'll get it sorted for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I did have somebody, you said they're just post-COVID, I did have somebody stuck in Tokyo when Boris came on and said, get home. And it was 10 o'clock at night over in the UK. And it was early in the morning in Tokyo. And obviously, travel agencies aren't open at that time. So Facebook is my friend. I jumped straight into a Facebook group of travel professionals. And I said, I need some help. I've got somebody stuck in Japan who needs to get home. Is there any tour operators who can help me? And luckily, the tour operator who we'd booked it through, they were able to come up. They were able to get us a flight straight out. And had I left it till the next day, we might not have gotten onto a flight, because obviously people were panic buying those things. But I managed to get my tour operator to get in there and get it done for me at 10 o'clock at night. So we had that ready for him to go.
Brilliant. It's that knowledge
and he was still asleep. He didn't know any of this was happening.
Brilliant. That's amazing. I do want to know, as I say, the personal bit of the story, I think, is fascinating to me. The fact it was, you wanted the travel and you did the Butlins, and obviously working abroad as a rep. Then you came back and retrained as a teacher, and then obviously again you ended up doing your passion of what you're doing now. So that story really intrigues me, and especially the reasons why you set up your own business, to tie in with the family lifestyle that you had. But for people who are looking to start their own business, not necessarily in your own industry, but for people who are wanting to start their own business, have you got any advice for them before we go?
So I suppose my biggest piece of advice is that when you are starting a business, especially if you're passionate about something. So I wanted to be a travel agent, and I started my business to be a travel agent. But there's so much more to this than being a travel agent. There's all these other roles that I now have to take on that I wasn't aware that I was, I was aware, but I didn't really acknowledge that there was all these other things I was going to have to do. So I would say just have a look at what you need to do. Be aware of the bigger picture, and know that you're not just going to be doing the thing that you love doing. There is admin and accounts and marketing and all these other things that you have to do in order to run your own business. Everybody can do it. You might, if you need to outsource it, then outsource it. But just go in with your eyes wide open that it is going to be difficult at the start. The cash flow isn't going to be there at the start. So you might not be able to pay people to outsource it. So you're going to have to be prepared to do it. And I think just being aware that there's two sides to it. You've got the bit that you love, but then there's also that other stuff that you have to do as part of being a business owner. And you have to do it. You have to do it, or you're not going to survive. You're not going to be successful. So go on a business course, learn what's involved, learn about marketing. You know, if there's lots of free things out there that you can do, but actually maybe even get yourself a business coach. Go on a course that helps you learn how to do all of these things, or at least put you on the right path to knowing what it is that you need to learn. And use everything you can. There's loads of information out there. So you need to kind of go back to school. You might think, oh, I own my own business, I'm done with that. No, you have to go back to school and you have to learn these things. So be prepared for the slog, because it's not all easy. Yes, my business does work around my kids, and that was the whole point of it. But that when they were younger, I was working. Once they went to bed, I was working. I was working on the stuff that I didn't like. I was able to be there for school drop off. I was able to be there for school pickup, but I was working in the evenings, and I was working at, other times when perhaps you might not. I work on holiday. I do take my laptop away with me and I will work. Now, it doesn't impact on the time that I have with the family, because it will be while they're messing about in the swimming pool, I'll sit there and do some work while they're messing about in the swimming pool. So it's not impacting on my time with them. But it's not, I'm going on holiday now, so I've got 2 weeks off, which is what you can do when you have a job. It's not that at all. It is a 24-hour a day thing. So you take off the rose tinted spectacles and really do your homework, because if you don't, it's going to be a shock to the system. And I suppose that's the best piece of advice I can give.
No, thank you, Erin. That's brilliant advice. Thank you very much. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today, as I've learned so much about you in terms of where you've come from, why you do what you do, what you enjoy about it. It's been, and I've learned some things as well in terms of things that I won't do again.
Yeah. I mean, you'd already learned them from experience, I think, Mark.
Yes,
but...
yes, yeah, definitely. But no, thank you so much for taking time out to speak to us.
That's all right. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your day. Thank you,
everybody. And you too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.